The views and opinions expressed by the guests, callers, and hosts on this and all Rense Radio Network programs do not necessarily reflect or agree with those of the network, its commercial sponsors, its radio station affiliates, or Internet broadcast platforms. In these controversial times, we believe the First Amendment and freedom of the press are absolutely essential to the survival of our nation. Thank you. And now, enjoy the program.
Thursday, May the 10th, as we roll into the end of the week. Gerald Celente is up first tonight, and we got an alert from Gerald today that'll be going up in Rense.com headlines in just a couple minutes. The Trends Journal has announced that top Israeli officials agree with Gerald Celente's Trends Journal, and indeed they do. This is interesting. Let me read a little of this, and we'll bring Gerald right on. Trend forecaster Gerald Celente, writing in the Spring Trends Journal, was virtually alone in his assessment of an Israeli-United States military strike against Iran's nuclear facilities as being an act of folly that would have catastrophic consequences. And now, just weeks after that warning, which noted the irrationality of Prime Minister Netanyahu, what's up with that guy, and Defense Minister Barak's determination to strike Iran, his conclusions are being echoed by some of Israel's most prominent public figures. To wit, bombing Iran is, quote, the stupidest thing I have ever heard. Anyone attacking Iran needs to understand that it could start a regional war which could include missile fire from Iran and Hezbollah in Lebanon, so said former Mossad chief Meir Dagan. Secondly, I'm quoting again, the Netanyahu administration, talk too much. They talk too loud. They are creating an atmosphere and a momentum that may go out of their control. There is no reason at this time to initiate an Israeli military strike. Former Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. And then, Iranian leadership is composed of, quote, very rational people, end quote, who will not decide to build nuclear weapons. So said General Benny Gantz, current Israeli Army Chief of Staff. And finally, quote, I don't believe in a leadership that makes decisions based on messianic feelings. One of the results of an Israeli attack on Iran could be a dramatic acceleration of the Iranian nuclear program, end quote, says Yuval Diskin, the former chief of the Shin Bet, Israel's premier internal security agency. So, very good, Gerald. You've got it dialed in as usual, and let's hope reasonable heads prevail over there. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Jeff.
Good, good.
Did I tell?
No, I wanted to ask you about that.
Oh, okay.
Weren't you the guy that said...
those statements that you just read, they came from anti-Semites, or either self-hating Jews.
Self-hating Jews, of course.
Yeah, one of the two. Because anytime you say anything that doesn't align with the prostitutes, and then that's what you are. So I guess the current Israeli army chief, the former head of
Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. Yeah, they're all they're in our club.
They're all self-hating Jews or anti-Semites.
Well, they're on the Rense Celente anti-Semite roster now.
Yeah, so
good to have them on board. Yeah, that's all. They've got to get rid of that crap.
But you know what I really want to talk tonight about is same-sex marriage. I mean, what a joke. The economy's going under. We saw at the new jobs report last month, jobs aren't being created. The only ones that are being created
are overseas.
Don't pay a living wage.
Yeah, they're also overseas.
And they're overseas.
Yeah.
And just, you go down the list. The European nation, the whole Eurozone is blowing apart.
Yeah.
There are riots in the Czech Republic. Demonstrations daily in Greece. The Spanish, they just bailed out one of their bankier buddies over there.
Yeah.
That people are in 25% unemployment, 50% youth unemployment. And you know what the prostitutes call it? Spain entered into its second recession. Could anybody say depression?
Unreal.
And then you go into Ireland, you go into Portugal. Then you look about what's going on with the United States ramping up the Cold War II against China.
Yep.
And how they're supporting the Philippines in the disputes over the islands in the South China Sea.
Yeah, they're also backing Indians against the Chinese. They're pushing it's all being orchestrated to create. I don't know what the end result is they're expecting, but you're quite right. They're agitating and pushing. There's been something that happened in China. We really don't know. I don't know for sure. I can't get a handle on it, but it appears that essentially a coup, an internal house cleaning coup, took place. 9 of the top 12 people in the, I guess you'd call it the old Soviet Politburo, what equals to that in China, were removed and sent away for re-education, along with hundreds and hundreds of others.
Well, yeah, and it's real, but it's a one-party system. They do what they want. Remember, these were the red Chinese that we were taught to hate all our lives until they started doing business on our terms, which essentially meant let's send over all our manufacturing capacity, use slave labor to make the products, and then ship it back over here and mark it up.
Yeah.
And everyday low prices means high quality of life.
It's got a ring to it.
Cheaper prices, better. Well, what is that stupid saying that Walmart has?
I don't know.
But something along those lines. But again, as we went through the list of just some of the geopolitical and economic highlights and turmoil that's going on in the world, what are the prostitutes talking about? Same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
And Obama pulled it off again. The gays were, and I have a lot of gay friends, and a lot of Jewish friends, so I'm neither anti-Semitic or homophobic. For the record, any of you CIA, FBI, NSA, or other clowns that are listening in.
By the way, the definition of homophobia is an irrational fear of homosexuality. Irrational fear, as opposed to a rational fear of it.
So now you go back to the 2008 election, and I have a lot of gay friends, and they were all for Obama. They were going to.
Oh yeah.
And then what happened?
By the way, Gerald, excuse me, but they also, because they were essentially in favor of him and supported him, they covered up his bisexuality.
Well, what really made them angry is that, if you recall, that when Obama got sworn in, he had that homophobic guy, that fake minister from the Church of What's Happening Now, or some other phony religion, to his inauguration swearing in. So every gay guy that I knew was so angry with Obama.
I remember that. Yeah.
And up until a couple of days ago, they were telling me, I'm not going to vote for that guy again. He really shafted us. And now what does he do? The slippery Obama pulls out another one. Right at the last moment. Hey, I'm on your side, guys.
Always have been. Don't worry about it. Remember Rahm Emanuel and I?
That was just we had to do that. Yeah. And that's what they always say. Well, he has to do some things. Obama's actions are indefensible. I love this one. All those bleeding heart little weenie liberals out there, those environmentalists, they all have lockjaw right now. As you well know, the Obama administration just put out their new fracking laws. Frack you. The ones where they extract all of that natural gas out of the earth as they pump millions of gallons of water and toxic chemicals into the earth to break up the rock formation so they could extract the natural gas. So now the Obama administration has given away 700 million, that's right, 700 million acres of our land, public land, to the frackers to do what they want, and this is the best one yet. They do not have to disclose what chemicals they are injecting into the earth until after they finished. That's like shooting you and then saying, I killed you with a .38. It wasn't a .45.
So they disclose it after it's already in the ground.
Already after it's done.
Nice. Yeah.
After they finished fracking you.
Yeah. Well, that really ought to be the Obama re-election bumper sticker. Let us frack you some more.
Yep. Good one.
It's ridiculous. All right. Talking to Gerald Celente, and I hope all of you are either signed up for or will sign up for the Trends Journal. just the most beautifully published and most intelligently written publication of its kind that I've ever seen. And you'll get it right now if you get online and get there and sign up. Be right back with Gerald in just a minute. Okay, I'm back with Gerald Celente, and if you don't believe it when I mention the fact that the purported president is bisexual, you can just go look online, enter Barack Obama bisexual, start reading. Wayne Madsen reported this a long time ago, years ago. Rahm Emanuel and Obama, card-carrying members, according to Madsen, of the oldest Chicago bathhouse, and frequenting the place, reportedly, the two of them. So, yeah, okay, that's the name of the game. So that's why he came out and supported it. By the way, there have been rumors in the gay community about this for years, but somehow the lid was kept on it, and I guess he didn't want to take a chance on getting outed just before the campaign, at least formally outed, because for some reason the gay community likes to out people that aren't honest about their sexual orientation. I've talked to a number of gays over the years about this, and certainly Larry Sinclair was upfront about that, and he's quite a man to talk to about those kinds of things. But again, he and Emmanuel, card-carrying members of the oldest Chicago men's gay bathhouse. And you've seen the stories, Reggie Love and his predecessors and so forth, and the murder in the Chicago church of the former choir master there, who was alleged to have been involved with the president. These things are all kept relatively quiet, but they're always simmering if you care to look for them. Go ahead, Gerald.
Well, I was mentioning to you that I just got back from Berlin.
Yeah.
And, I travel pretty extensively, and this is my first time there. And I've been haunted by the trip since I've returned 2 weeks ago. And the reason being is that I spent a lot of time in France, in Paris particularly. And when I look at what Berlin looked like before it was bombed, in my mind, it was grander and more imperial and majestic than Paris ever was. The wide boulevards, the sidewalks that are very, very extensively wide, people bicycle on them, cafes everywhere. And these beautiful, beautiful buildings, and I was inside a number of them. We're opening up, by the way, where the Trends Journal is being published in Germany, and
good.
I was also invited up to the DAX, the Frankfurt stock market, and we're opening up a division of the Trends Research Institute. So that was the purpose of the trip. So I was in people's homes, and I kept saying to myself, during the 1930s, Berlin had to be or Germany had to be the most civilized place on the planet. I mean, after all, this is the country,
right.
Beethoven, Bach, Goethe,
the sciences,
Einstein,
the arts,
these aren't lightweights,
Absolutely.
This isn't a banana republic. And I'm saying to myself, as you look at these grand buildings, because what happens is you see these beautiful buildings and then see for blocks new construction that was built between them, that they were all bombed out after the war. So the new construction between 1950s to 70s with cheap materials because they had nothing there. The guys are dead, this country's destroyed, and they're trying to put places for 15 million plus people to live. So I'm saying to myself, how could this place, this grand place of very intelligent people, have been taken to such destruction, because this doesn't happen overnight. I mean, this place is being bombed out, month after month, week after week. How could they have let this happen? Year after year. How can they have let it happen? How can they have let a two-bit freak like Hitler take them to death and destruction? So it's been going on in my mind. And then people say, well, it was following the Treaty of Versailles. I said, no, that's not those are just the details. Because then you go over to our homeland, where our ancestors came from, and they had their own two-bit freak, Mussolini. And then you look around the world. Oh, we just had one over in England. How about Tony Blair? You want to see a two-bit freak? Hey, I got a two-bit freak for you. How about that little weenie Cameron? Now there's a two-bit freak.
Sure.
Hey, let's go over let's go to France.
Yeah.
You want to see a two-bit freak? How about Sarko the American, Sarkozy? Hey, you want to see some more two-bit freaks? How about George W. Bush? There's a good freak for you.
Yeah.
How about Obama? Oh, no, I don't want to say anything bad Obama, because the CIA will be over here and the FBI. Because then they'll call me a political dissident. And you know what a political dissident is?
Terrorist.
That's somebody that doesn't believe in their BS.
Of course.
That's a political dissident.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to myself, how could nations let themselves be led to destruction by two-bit freaks?
But they're all over the country, Gerald. Every country that falls under the sway of a manufactured personality or a cult mentality has the same general format. They follow, they get into wars, and they are crushed. It happens over and over. I don't care if the country's bombed out or not. The people can be crushed without being bombed out. Look at the Greeks. These are all two-bit, tin horn dictator types that run these countries into the ground. You're totally right. By the way, you talk about the beauty of Berlin. I'm sure you probably have seen the drawings that were on the books that Berlin was headed toward had Germany not lost the war. It would have been the world's most magnificent city, without any question. Enormous buildings, enormous indoor auditoriums, 100,000 seaters. Just amazing architecture. But you're right. You can't take that away. And what happened to Germany? Why did they follow the little corporal? Hard to say. But when they took that country under Hitler, and, well, he was Man of the Year at Time magazine, and brought it from the rubble of the Treaty of Versailles, and that's true, in a matter of 4 or 5 years back to literally the most efficient, productive, brilliant country in many ways in Europe. And there's part of your answer. It's called magic in a way, and the people fell under that spell because they saw prosperity. They saw that they weren't under the thumb of the international bankster usury crooks and criminals. They had their own identity, and it's pretty easy to understand how they followed. And it's similar in many countries. I'll tell you this, the best and most enlightened leader, let's call him a leader, that I've seen was Muammar Gaddafi. He gave back more to his people from that country's national resources and wealth than any other dictator I can remember. Any. And they had it made, those people, before NATO and the West decided to go in there and take their oil and put them under the Rothschild international central banking system, which is exactly what they did. All right, hold on just a second. We'll come right back with Gerald. Okay, and we're back with the master of trends, Gerald Celente. By all means, do click on Gerald's name and go right to the website and take a look around. It's not only informative, but you'll be able to sign up right there. Comes out, what is the publication date exactly, Gerald, for each edition?
It's quarterly, winter,
just when
spring.
when you get there. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Winter, spring, summer, autumn.
Yeah. Very good. Okay.
And then, of course, every day I do trends in the news videos, so we keep people up to date, and we have trend alerts. We just sent one out yesterday, actually. by Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, who was the former Assistant Treasury Secretary under Ronald Reagan.
Oh, he wrote something for you?
Oh, great. He's a contributor.
Yeah.
His piece is entitled Cold War II Heating Up. And
great title.
doing it.
Yeah.
And where you could see where the United States is heading, going after Iran and China. So China will be the new target in the years to come. The military-industrial complex will continue to sell fear and hysteria, rob the country of its genius of the scientists, sweat of the laborers, and future of the children, as Dwight D. Eisenhower warned. And so we keep abreast of all the events that are occurring and try to keep people ahead of them so they could proact rather than don't leave your offices, the fire in the North Tower is under control.
Oh, right. Trendsjournal.com is the website, trendsjournal.com, and by all means go there. By the way, that wonderful photo pictorial of your home base, your home away from home. Actually, it's not so far away from home, I guess. Your offices as they were. Was that just in the one edition?
Well, that was in a magazine that did a piece, Ulster Magazine. Anyone could go to ulstermagazine.com. We're in Ulster County, which is north of New York, New York City, and in the Hudson Valley, and they did a piece on it. But also, I just want to let you know, just today, we went into contract. Contracts have been signed. I bought another. We're moving part of our office we're in historic Kingston, New York, which was the first capital of New York State during the Revolution. I just bought a 1750s house. It's called the Franz Roggen, R-O-G-G-E-N, a house. And as I said, it's from the 1750s. And one of the reasons why I bought it, it's a building away from ours, but I didn't want any developer to get their hands on it and ruin it. And I'm a believer that art is one of the ways of finding the true meaning of the human spirit.
Oh, yeah.
So to me, this was a piece of art. And
that's
so
pre-Revolutionary War building you bought.
It's 1750.
It's amazing.
Anybody can look it up. Franz, F-R-A-N-Z, Roggen, R-O-G-G-E-N. And we're right off, actually, the most historic corner in the United States. On on each of these corners, and now I have one of them. The one across from us is called the Pearson House, which is a museum. And the other two corners, it's the only place in the U.S. where there are stone buildings in perfect repair from the 16 and 1700s. So people ask me, they say, are you concerned about what's going on? Are you going to leave the country? And before I went to Berlin, I was ready to leave. And then when I came back, I said to myself, love it or leave it. I love it. Let them leave it. They're the ones that are screwing it up. I want to stay within the Constitution, within the Declaration of Independence and the Bill of Rights. Don't tell me to leave. You leave. I'm going to make this really clear. If Obama, if Clinton, if Mittens Romney, if Rick Santorum, if Newt Gingrich, Herman 999-666 Kane, if Michelle Bachmann, if Sarah Palin, if Harry Reid, any of these people want to tell me to leave because I don't believe their BS, come over and we could talk.
Let's talk.
We could talk. You want to come man to man with me? We could go at it. Don't send one of your flunkies. Oh, and if you do send one of your flunkies, send them over without their other flunkies around them. Send them over without all their batons and tasers and Glocks. We could talk. I'm not leaving.
Right.
If they want to come and take me, let Obama, let Clinton, let Romney, let them come and tell me to leave because I don't believe in their crap. It's crap. It's BS. It's kiddie crap. And every day they keep spewing it out. Biden, Joe Biden. These people couldn't get a job in the public or in the private sector if they had to work a day in their lives. What did Obama ever do? What did he ever do to earn a living? Oh, I was a community organizer. What did you organize? What did you accomplish? And it's one after another. So I said to myself, I'm not leaving. If they threaten me, if a bullet comes flying through my window, y'all get the hell out of here. But up until that point, I said, no, I'm buying into America. I'm buying a piece of American history, and I'm staying here.
Amen, brother. Yep.
So today, the contracts were signed on the Franz Rogan house.
Good for you. That's nice. Well, we know that our history will be preserved a little bit better now in your town. That's amazing, though. Pre-Revolutionary War architecture. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to put in there?
I'm putting some of my staff in there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so we're expanding, and
nice.
It's a beautiful building, and it has gardens, and it's a gem. And again, it was more for the love of it than anything else.
Of course. Well, good. I would love to be able to see it when it's done. Hopefully there'll be a pictorial. You're going to do some renovation on it, I guess?
Oh, it's perfectly renovated. The woman that had renovated it about 8 years ago did a magnificent job. She renovated it with the perfect integrity of what it could be.
Yeah.
Didn't
to hear that from you is it must be beautiful. Your taste is impeccable.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Well, what we saw with the other pictures, this is a knockout. Great. All right. Now, we are in the middle of this alleged campaign season. We've got a break coming up here in just a moment. People are going to be faced once again with, they say, holding their nose and voting for the lesser of two evils. We've gone over this before. Let's revisit that a little bit now. People keep knocking Romney. They keep knocking Barkey. I'm not convinced that something real dramatic could still happen. I'm not convinced that it is over. And my God, why do we have to vote like this as people? I get people asking me that. Why can't we ever have a real choice? Well, do you want 4 more years of the Marxist, socialist, bisexual, the man who has looted this country, proven demonstrably a criminal, in there fraudulently, committed an obvious, overt, grotesque federal felony with that birth certificate, and he's still there. Anyway, all right, hold on, we'll be right back. The Trends Journal. Go to trendsjournal.com and sign up. Be right back. Okay, back with Gerald, and many things happening around us all the time. So, it used to be kind of a laugh. You hold your nose and you vote for the lesser of two evils. I don't do that. I don't honestly remember the last time I voted in a national election. I don't do that. I won't vote for any evil. That's just me. I'm sure you feel exactly the same way. We've talked about it before. So, what are the Americans to do? Now, let me preface your remarks by saying that, remember, folks, the SOE Corporation, an American corporation which has the rights to count the vote in November in about 28 states, was sold to a Spanish corporation, SCYTL, headquartered in España. And the CEO of that Spanish corporation, SCYTL, is a former Chicago resident and best buddy of Barack Obama. Major socialist and a major contributor to the Obama election campaign. He runs the company. That company in Spain will count the votes, your votes, if you're in the 28 states, in Spain electronically. Can you spell vote fraud? Who owns the company, Gerald? SCYTL. None other than Georgie Soros. So little Georgie Soros, Obama's godfather, is going to count the votes of at least 28 states in Spain through his company, which is, talk about unconstitutional. counting votes overseas electronically that are cast here by Americans? Where are the congressmen? Where are the senators introducing a bill to stop this right now? There aren't any. Nobody's doing it.
I had no idea about that.
True story.
But when you say where are the senators, where are the congressmen, in somebody's pocket, that's where they are. I mean, come on. There's a gang of 535 senators and congressmen from a syndicate that tell 312 million people how to tie their shoes, what to do, what to believe, and how to act. So I had no idea what you were just talking about, but I also know the Diebold one. You know, that was the Republican branch of the voting fraud vote counters. And really, what we're you know, I have to disagree with you respectfully. I don't believe, you know, this is Marxist, communist or socialist. I think it's fascist, because by definition, the merger of state and corporate power.
Understood. Agreed. No, we're on the same page there. I think that Obama's background is clearly socialist communist. Frank Marshall Davis, his tutor when he was a tween and a teen, was an avowed, hardcore, virulent communist, anti-American communist. So he's got a background. Now you move forward to Bernadette Doran, William Ayers, hardcore socialists. So Obama's background is such that you can see these labels almost all apply to one portion or another of this whole Obama ethos that was created and constructed and sold to the Americans in one of the slickest advertising jobs I've seen in a long, long time. You're totally right. This is a fascist state. It's a dictatorship now, too. Every executive order that is passed is utterly unconstitutional. And there's no debate about it. The Constitution does not provide or allow for these kinds of illegal administrative dictates. This is a dictatorship now. Period.
Totally. It's all it is, as I see it. I mean, as we wrote in the Trends Journal, you know, the cover, next train to Auschwitz, all aboard, kiss those calories goodbye. And I was mentioning that I was in Berlin, and I had one of my colleagues, you know, she's in her late 40s, and she said, you know, when I was about 17 years old, I confronted my grandmother, and I was, you know, rebellious, and I said to her, how can you have let the soldiers and the government take away the Jewish people? And her grandmother said to her, you don't understand. We had no choice. We didn't lose our rights one day. They kept being taken away from us day after day, year after year.
And by our silence, they allowed it.
Exactly. And then it became the point, if you spoke out, they would take you out.
Correct.
You couldn't even talk to your friends or relatives. You were afraid. The same thing is happening in the USSA. And I'm not making this up, and we outline it in the Trends Journal. You go back, it began actually under Clinton following the Oklahoma City bombing. They already had Fourth Amendment rights abrogations in place, and they weren't being able to get through, but after that they were pushed through. And then we saw with George W. Bush with the Patriot Act. And Obama's out Bush and Clinton by yards, miles, with the National Defense Authorization Act, with executive orders that allows El Presidente of Los Estados Unidos, I say that because we've become a banana republic, to declare martial law at, quote, a potential threat. And then we see Big Brother over there, Eric Holder, you know, the guy that was with the Clinton administration that allowed Clinton to pardon that Slimer, Mark Rich, you know, Mark Very Rich,
Mark
that enriched the Clintons.
Yep.
And he gave him an executive pardon.
Those pardons were so criminal and despicable.
Well,
Nobody
that's our
remembers them.
Attorney General now. That despicable guy.
Yep.
This is the guy also that kept shooting his mouth off about Bush's Patriot Act being unconstitutional. Well, he just signed guidelines that they're now listening to us. And guess what? They're listening to you out there as well. And they're watching everything that you do, everything that you speak, everything that you type on your keyboard, all the intelligence agencies, because Big Bro signed a guideline that allows them to now do it for 5 years, whether or not you are suspected of anything or not. Because what they've done in perfect Orwellian fashion is they've put algorithms into their sick schemes to decide whether or not you, John or Jane Doe, are a potential enemy to the state. A potential enemy to the state.
Mm-hmm.
So that means also that you're convicted regardless of what you do.
Oh, guilty until proven otherwise if you're real lucky.
Exactly. And then you look at the other one. And this is, I have to tell you this story. I'm at a party with some very well-known people. And I started talking about the recent, I guess it was in February or March, Supreme Court ruling that if you're driving in your car or you're riding on your bicycle and your bell is inaudible and you get arrested by the Gestapo, because that's all the police have come and enforces for the political and financial crime bosses, and you give them some back talk and they throw you in jail, bend over and spread your legs. Strip search everybody. That was a Supreme Court ruling. And
right.
I tell people that, and then I say to them that the Solicitor General, Verrilli, was under the Obama administration, was a friend of the court on this. And then this very prominent woman said, that's not true. I said, look, I'm telling you, I said, I write about these things. I said, it is true. She said, I refuse to believe it. I said, listen, I'm telling you, the Obama administration was a friend of the court on the strip search. She said, your facts are wrong. I said, you're either calling me a liar or calling me stupid. So I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. I said, why don't you Google up Verrilli, friend of the court, Supreme Court, strip search?
Mm-hmm.
She said, this is a ridiculous argument.
See?
And she walked away.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
So this is what I'm going back to, Jeff. When you look at what happened in Germany, you look at what happened in Italy, you look at the phony wars that were started in America by people like Obama, people like Bush, people like LBJ, people like, many of them. Oh, by the way, here's one for you. I remember during the Vietnam years, people, the chant used to be, hey, hey, LBJ, how many kids did you kill today during the Vietnam War?
Uh-huh.
How come nobody's screaming that out about Obama? Hey, just a couple of days ago, about 5 Afghan kids were killed. Oh, they don't count?
No, they're not.
How about
Americans.
all the millions of people that were killed in Iraq? Oh, they don't count.
No,
How about the people that are being slaughtered every week in Afghanistan?
Yeah.
Hey, hey, Obama, how many kids did you kill? I don't like that. And that's what they do. They become, and so you have intelligent people that know better that are afraid to face the truth.
No, they got too many diversions they can dive into. Why do they have to deal with reality?
But again, this has been going on forever, even before the diversions.
Of course. It's easier for them now, the controllers, to sway the masses, though, keep the sheep with their heads down, chewing merrily away.
But again, you go back to Berlin, when you had this high civilization, and they're able to do it. And by the way, as we're wrapping up, let's wrap up with what's going on over there in Europe. The whole financial system is under collapse. And what you're seeing, go back to our Spring Trends Journal 2011, the first great war of the 21st century has begun. There were riots in Spain, riots in Greece, riots in the Czech Republic, riots in Moscow, riots in Romania, riots all over. The gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen. When the money stops flowing down to the man on the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets. You're seeing these parties that are growing throughout Europe. They're calling them fringe elements. They're calling them extreme right or radical left.
Right. What they are is patriots, sick of it.
And sick of it. And everybody should be sick of it, because we have two choices. Only two. And it's not Romney or Obama. It's fascism or freedom.
True.
And I'm voting for freedom.
Well said, my friend. DHS buys 450 million rounds of 40 caliber pistol ammunition, among other things. They're expecting something big here. Are they going to cause it? Will they trigger it so they can come down and crush what's left of the resistance? Who knows? Time will tell. But with people like you, Gerald, and those who are listening who care about this country, they'll never feel confident with their plans, and maybe we can keep them off balance enough to regain control of what we had here. Thank you very much. Talk to you next month, my friend.
Hey, thank you, Jeff. All the best.
Okay, good night.
Bye.
Gerald Celente, just an amazing publication. I hope you'll sign up for it. We'll be right back with Hour 2 in just a couple minutes. Hang on. Sign up for it. We'll be right back with Hour 2 in just a couple minutes. Hang on. Sign up for it. We'll be right back with Hour 2 in just a couple minutes. Hang on. Sign up for it. We'll be right back with Hour 2 in just a couple minutes. Hang on. Sign up for it. We'll be right back with Hour 2 in just a couple minutes. Hang on. Sign up for